So I'm 43 years old, and I have, of course, been a Charlotte sports fan my entire life. You know, we first got the Hornets in 1988. I was 9 years old. We got the Panthers in 1993. I was 14 years old. And this is the first time in that long time span, I think, that we've ever seen an offseason from both those franchises be so newsworthy, yet so unexciting. Like, I'm not excited about anything having to do. Well, I mean, I'm always excited for next season. I want to see what happens. But with the moves that the Hornets are going to have to make, and the things that have happened, and the moves the Panthers have made, particularly today, which is what we're going to talk about, I'm like, whatever, dude.
I'm just waiting on a Charlotte Hornets headline to pop up, because it's almost like the Panthers and the Hornets are in competition with each other to see who can snatch the bigger headlines, right, for better or for worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like me and you were talking before we came on. Like, who's going to get arrested for the Hornets next? Like something is going to happen with them, man. Anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, so this is actually like kind of breaking news. It happened within the last hour, but apparently the Carolina Panthers have acquired quarterback Baker Mayfield from the Cleveland Browns in a trade, in a very favorable trade. And it's what's funny about this deal is that the Panthers had been targeting Baker Mayfield for some time. Like, since the season ended, there had been talk of Baker Mayfield coming to Charlotte, and a lot of it was dismissive. We were dismissive of it, and even Baker Mayfield himself was dismissive of it.
Right.
The news coming from sources close to him was that he didn't want to go to Charlotte, and it wasn't going to happen. And then, you know, the Deshaun Watson situation reached a plateau, and Cleveland immediately offered Deshaun Watson a deal, making Baker Mayfield expendable. And then, so that ramped up the trade rumors again. And then it kind of died off. And then last week, there was talk from the major sports media networks that, hey, the Panthers they really want Baker Mayfield. And it just came down to a money question. They just didn't want to pay the rest of his contract, and they wanted Cleveland to take the brunt of that. And a lot of people felt like, well, Cleveland's not going to do that. They're not going to pay Carolina to take Baker Mayfield.
So
okay. They especially paid us to take Baker Mayfield. The deal was a conditional fifth round pick. That
could turn into a fourth round pick.
Yeah, a conditional fifth round pick, and the Panthers only have to pay $4.85 million of Baker Mayfield's $18 million contract. So we kind of fleeced Cleveland for Baker Mayfield. But there's always a but.
There's always a but.
I'm going to let Jamal go first, though. I want to hear his thoughts on this deal.
All right, man. So when the news first popped up, I wanted to verify it, and the reason why is because how many Baker Mayfield reports have there been since March? Like 25? Seriously? Like, there was a Baker Mayfield to Charlotte report every 5 minutes. So wanted to make sure we verified it, man. And once it was verified, am I going to sit here and say that I jumped for joy? Nah. Am I going to sit here and say that I'm like super excited? No, not really. But when I looked at the deal and I looked at what we didn't give up, I was like, okay. I started to feel a little way better about the situation I did when the news was first announced. We gave up basically nothing. Like you said, that fifth round pick is conditional. It could turn into a fourth round pick, man. So it's not like we're giving up the future for Baker Mayfield. We didn't give up any huge assets. We're only paying about $4.8 million of the salary that's left over. Why not? But like you said, there's always a but. I do feel like we're still spinning our wheels a bit. And that's kind of where I'm at with this. We currently have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. You're not going to keep all 4 of these quarterbacks on the roster. You should not keep all 4 quarterbacks.
You probably won't even keep 3.
Really? Seriously. So who's going to go? I may mention last week how we inexplicably signed PJ Walker to that deal right after last season ended. So now you have, I don't want to say a problem, but you definitely have a logjam at quarterback. And raise your hand or comment if you think Baker Mayfield ain't starting week 1.
Yeah.
That should be none of you.
There's no quarterback competition at training camp. Yeah.
And my second thought was the Cam Newton era is officially done in Carolina. This should probably end all talks of Cam probably ever coming back to Carolina. I still wish he would have got a full season. Because I mentioned Cam because I know that's going to come up. So I just wanted her to get that out the way. But it feels like the Cam Newton era is officially done here, man. I will say this, and I don't know if this may not be a popular take at all. But with Baker Mayfield being added to the Carolina Panthers, I actually believe there's an outside shot at the playoffs now. And mainly because you look at the playoff scenarios in the situation now, it may not take but 7 or 8 wins to get in the playoff these days because of the extra playoff spot that the NFL currently has now. So I look at the Baker Mayfield trade, and overall I'm positive about it, but I still feel like we are spinning our wheels just a bit.
Yeah. Real quick, Danny Thompson. We now have a better quarterback than the Falcons do. So we
will have a better quarterback.
Yeah. That's what matters. Yeah. So there's that. Okay.
That's what matters out of all of this. Actually.
Yeah, exactly. Objectively speaking, it's not. Yeah, like you said, it's not a bad deal at all. First I was like, oh man, Baker Mayfield. What did we give up to give him? And then when I read what we essentially didn't give up, I was like, okay, that's a pretty good deal, honestly.
Right.
Now, it is important to note that this is the last year of Baker Mayfield's rookie deal.
Yeah.
He did not want to come to Carolina, at least from what we understood before. I would be very surprised if he re-signed here. And I really do think that Baker Mayfield will be a sought-after free agent at the end of his rookie deal this year. I think other teams are going to want him. And if he doesn't want to be here, and if the Panthers end up having a mediocre season, he's not going to want to stay. And actually, if the Panthers have a stellar season, he's not going to want to stay because then other teams will really be interested in him if he has a good season with us. So this is like a one-year rental, and this is why I agree with you on the spinning the wheels thing. It's like, okay, we got a guy that a lot of people believe is better than Sam Darnold. More on that in a second. But, okay, so now we have an outside shot to make the playoffs, especially with there being another seed. Okay, we make the playoffs with Sam Darnold. With Baker Mayfield. And then what?
And then what?
He leaves next season. He leaves next season, and then we're back to we're going to start Matt Corral or Sam Darnold. And that's if Sam Darnold's even still here, the Panthers may end up dealing him. It's just that this is obviously not a long-term move, and it can't possibly be a win now move because regardless of what you think about Baker Mayfield, he's not good enough to be like a win now. Like, okay, this is the move that finally.
It's not the move that propels us to the NFC Championship.
It's not. I guess it maybe stabilizes the quarterback situation some next season, but unless you really think you can convince him to sign an extension, which I would actually be super surprised if Baker Mayfield signed an extension at the end of this season. Why would he? Unless he just comes here and he's like, I was wrong about Carolina. But this is Baker Mayfield. This is a guy who coming out of college had a ton of fanfare. He does not want to play in Carolina. He didn't want to play in Cleveland.
Right.
He wants to go to a big market team, a team that can make bigger moves in order to be a playoff team.
Yeah.
And so
a team like Chicago.
Right, yeah.
So where
does that leave us? Okay, so we didn't really give up anything for this 1 year rental, but it like, what does it do? I don't think long term with the Carolina Panthers, or even in the immediate short term, it does a lot to move the needle.
Look, man, I am going to steal a saying from our brother Rodney. The Panthers, David Tepper mainly, because I kind of feel like this is coming from Tepper mainly. The team just don't want to take their medicine. They just don't want to. They don't want to go through the rigors of this season. And I don't want to say tanking, but they're not going to put themselves in a position to draft high to get that talent from whoever it may be next season. You know what I mean? And I'm not even saying there is a franchise guy out there next season. Let me be clear about that. But with that being said, man, it just seems like we're not willing to go through the natural progression. I guess that's a better way of putting it, to kind of solve our quarterback problem. It's like a spinning hamster wheel, man. We keep trying to do the same things over and over and over again, man. And again, like you said, man, very, very good short-term deal. You know, it's low risk for us, but we need to start thinking in terms of the long term, of the long game.
I think that Tepper, I think you hit the nail on the head. Tepper is not willing to do a rebuild because Tepper's a businessman. He didn't just like accidentally become a billionaire.
Right.
He knows that rebuilds for cities like Charlotte they're dangerous.
They are.
They're very, very dangerous.
Listen, we were here during the Matt Moore days. We were here when Vinny Testaverde was trying out there quarterback. Yeah.
Fortunately, the Panthers are more cemented in Charlotte than the Hornets are, but like the Bobcats barely survived that rebuild.
Right.
Barely. We went 7-59. There were talks of, man, Jordan's going to sell the team because despite that season, he had already made a profit off of it because apparently he only paid like $50 million for the team. Right. I mean, and it was like, okay, the NBA messed up by giving Charlotte a team again after they left. There was a lot of talk of, the Bobcats being gone because we had to go through that rebuild. I don't think Tepper wants to risk that with the Carolina Panthers. He knows he's going to lose a lot of money. He's already probably in the red from Charlotte FC, even though they're having a relatively successful first season, but it takes a lot of capital to get an expansion team off the ground. I just don't think that he wants to go through what it's going to take in the NFL, where tanking does work, to be good again. I mean, the Panthers were not good until we went 2-14 and got Cam Newton. We got to do that again.
Speaking of Cam Newton, here's Jamal Bayless today. Here's my hot take for today. Going off of what you just said, relating to what you just said, I think a lot of that has to do with Cam Newton. Let me explain, please. Everybody in this chat, everybody that's watching this podcast, and you and I both know this, there are a huge amount of Panther fans that were Panther fans because of Cam Newton. How many of those fans said the hell with buying tickets after Cam Newton left?
A lot.
It's no coincidence the attendance did what it did after Cam Newton left. So now you have a situation where, and let's be very clear, before today, how many Panthers fans were super excited about the Panthers going into next season? Let's be for real, okay?
Yeah.
Right. Unless you were die hard, I could see that stadium being half filled next season. At least this move gives us a chance to be competitive. You know what I mean? Like going into next season with Sam Darnold, none of us had hope that we'd make the playoffs. We were kind of banking on hopefully Christian McCaffrey's healthy and that'll make us look somewhat competitive. But now with Baker Mayfield on the pitch, it's like, okay, at least we have a shot at least having some entertaining football going into next season.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the plus of increased media coverage. This is right. Baker Mayfield. He's probably the most famous player the Panthers have had since Cam Newton. I mean, that's always a bonus. And if the Panthers end up having a good season, all will be forgiven. people are going to say, man, what a great move it was.
Right.
Bring Baker Mayfield in, even though he may or may not be the reason the Panthers are better or worse next season. I mean, we think the defense is going to be improved. They've made some improvements to the offensive line. You got to think there will be some sort of improvement with the Carolina Panthers, regardless if Baker Mayfield is playing or not. But if the Panthers are good, then he's, of course, going to get all the credit. And like I said before, his agent's going to say, hey, look, other 29 teams in the league, or 31 teams, look at what my guy did for the lowly Carolina Panthers. Look how terrible they were. They sign him for pennies, and they make the playoffs. Don't you want that? And other teams are going to go, oh, yeah, of course we want that. So I just don't – what's the plan here? Obviously, the plan is not to tank. They want to maintain some kind of baseline of that line between mediocrity and semi-success
and competitive football, at least semi-competitive football,
basically. Right? Because if you go 2-14 again, you will have no one in the stands. You will have no one in the stands.
You will be selling lower level tickets for $30.
Yeah,
if you go 2-14. Yeah,
but if you look at, you look at the turn the Carolina Panthers made when they got Cam Newton, to go from Cam Newton to Luke Kuechly to 3 straight division championships and a Super Bowl appearance. Like, that's what you build for, right?
Right.
This idea of building just, hey, we need a team that's we need to field a competitive team with no long-term plan next season. I'm not a fan of that.
All right, let me ask you this question, man, because there's something on my mind today, man. Can we compare, let's say, the Panthers' weapons to what he had in Cleveland? So you look at our offensive line. Now, I'm not going to say our offensive line is Cleveland good, because Cleveland had a pretty damn good offensive line, but it is improved. I think it's easy for everyone to say that our offensive line should be much improved going into next season. So you couple that with the fact that, you have a healthy DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, who's a little bit of a wild card, which I'll explain in a minute, and cross our fingers and hope to God Chris McCaffrey's healthy. How do you compare our weapons to Cleveland's weapons? Does that excite you that Baker Mayfield may have these guys to work with?
Okay, so let's look at the Cleveland Browns, the 2020 Cleveland Browns.
Yeah,
they made the playoffs. Okay, they were 11-5. They were third in their division, but they did make the playoffs. Okay,
not bad at all.
Yeah, not bad. I'm going to name some of the weapons that Baker Mayfield had for the team. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr. Okay, so stop me if I've come across anyone that's better than anyone on the Panthers so far. just feel free. It's like those are not bad names.
Not at all.
You got Pro Bowlers on there. You got Nick Chubb and Odell Beckham. Now, to be fair, Odell Beckham only played 7
he got hurt that year.
He was injured. But Jarvis Landry is not like chopped liver,
right?
Either. So I think that he had a better team that year in Cleveland than what he would have had last season in Carolina. But it's too early for me to look at the current Panthers team as constructed and say, okay, that's the same level. Because I think on paper, if you look at the Panthers roster, okay, they look like, with a competent quarterback, like they might win some games.
Yeah.
And, if McCaffrey is healthy, and really that's the X factor. If McCaffrey is healthy, the sky's the limit.
Listen.
But if he pulls a Gordon Hayward, then we'll see a different team on the field.
Thanks for depressing everybody on the podcast.
Yeah, you gotta keep it a buck, right? Who knows with McCaffrey? Just who knows? He's that good of a player, though.
I have never in Panthers history seen anybody that's such a difference maker more than Chris McCaffrey. Not even Cam Newton. Yeah, I know that's maybe controversial.
Cam, maybe Luke.
Maybe Luke on defensively, but offensively, there's no bigger X factor than Chris McCaffrey, man. It almost, I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but He makes quarterbacks' jobs a lot easier, obviously.
When Christian McCaffrey was playing last season, people were talking about Sam Darnold making the Pro Bowl. That's all. Yeah. I mean,
that's all you.
And the second he goes down, Sam Darnold was never the same. So that's how good Christian McCaffrey is. So if McCaffrey comes back and he's healthy and Baker Mayfield's balling, then the rest of the sports world is going to say, man, Baker Mayfield, that was a good move. But really, it was McCaffrey. Which brings me to my next point. There was some debate about, is Baker Mayfield really better than Sam Darnold? Because a lot of people are saying, hey, this is an upgrade for us that we really didn't have to pay anything for.
Right.
And I think there's some nuance to that conversation. Okay.
I think there's a ton of nuance to that conversation.
So they both came in the same year. Baker Mayfield was the number 1 pick. Sam Darnold was the number 3 pick. Baker Mayfield went to a Cleveland Browns team that had been building already. Yeah. Right. Whereas Sam Darnold went to a very, very bad Jets team that does not know how to build anything. Right. This is an interesting stat to me. They both came in 2018, and since that time, there's only one person in the league that has thrown more interceptions than Sam Darnold.
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. He's thrown more interceptions than Sam Darnold. Now, he's thrown a lot more touchdowns, but as we said before, I mean, when you got Odell Beckham on your team, even though Odell Beckham only played 7 games that season, that's a big target, to have. So, however, having said that, Baker Mayfield has been to the playoffs. He did win Rookie of the Year. He had a great rookie season. I mean, he had an absolutely stellar rookie season, enough to get the Rookie of the Year. I think he threw 27 touchdowns to like 13 interceptions or something that season. They had a losing season, but I mean, it was clear that he was going to be a solid NFL quarterback, unlike Sam Darnold, who did not have a great rookie season. So I can see why people look and say, hey, we got to upgrade here, but I'm not sure, especially based on last year's performance. Both guys were injured some, but I'm not sure if that's the case anymore. I'm not sure if I can definitively say right now Baker Mayfield is that much better than Sam Darnold. They're both bottom dwellers in nearly every major statistical category for QBs, and we're talking about last season here.
Right.
They're both near the bottom. I mean, like, what's the difference in football terms? Maybe someone can explain to me, like, what really makes big, because I've not seen a lot of Cleveland Browns games. So it's hard for me to say from a football standpoint, what is it that Baker does that makes him so much better than Sam Darnold?
I'll frame it this way. And like you, I'm not going to say that I watched every Cleveland Browns game that came on TV, but I'll frame it this way. Number one, we got to go back to the great equalizer. The great equalizer, once again, is Christian McCaffrey. That's the great equalizer. We both can agree he'll make Baker Mayfield's job easier. That's number one if he stays healthy. Number two, in a 2-minute situation, game on the line, who do you trust more, Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield? I'm going to say Baker Mayfield. I'm going to tell you why. I'll give you one simple reason why I trust Baker Mayfield in a 2-minute situation a little more than Sam Darnold does. Number one, confidence. Now, you go back to the interceptions. Yeah, you can say, yeah, he threw a bunch of picks. Maybe you can point that to that kind of gunslinger mentality. Right, you know what I mean? Right. But at the same time, on the flip side of that, he can also make things happen. I think Baker Mayfield's mobile like Sam Darnold is. He's probably just as accurate, or it probably about the same. But I think confidence in the ability to make plays, I probably go with Mayfield slightly over Sam Darnold in that aspect. So going back to everything, I still think it's a very slight upgrade, and we didn't give up anything. So cool.
Yeah, I'll agree that it is a slight upgrade, but I made this analogy before on someone's Facebook post. Like, Baker Mayfield is better than Sam Darnold in the way that a Hyundai is better than a Kia. Now, I'm sorry to anyone out there that drives a Hyundai or a Kia. They're actually very nice cars. But, like, the difference between the two is like Okay, like a Hyundai Equus is really, really nice, but a Kia Stinger is also really nice too. It just depends on what you want out of your quarterbacks. I'm not sure if we're going to see much of that much of a difference as far as quarterback play is concerned. I think that the Panthers as a whole, the difference in this coming up season and last season will be the whole of the parts.
Right.
The defense will be better. The offensive line will be better. McCaffrey will be healthy.
Like kind of like the Cleveland Browns as a whole were just better than the Carolina Panthers, which is why they went to the playoffs and we didn't.
There you go.
Hello.
Yeah, but first of all, welcome Baker Mayfield to the Carolina Panthers. I hope you like it here, because actually, as a Panthers fan, here's what I would like to happen. I'd like the Panthers to have a really good season next season. They don't even have to be great. They don't even have to win the division. They just need to be better than the Falcons, which won't be that hard. But won't be that hard. Yeah. But they just need to have a really solid season, show some improvement, some reasons to get excited about the next season. And then Baker Mayfield say, you know what? I like it here. I like the system here. I love the city. I will say this. Everyone loves the city. No one comes to Charlotte and says, man, fuck this place. No one says that.
You're coming from Cleveland. That shouldn't be hard.
Yeah. Cleveland they got Bone Thugs and Harmony.
They got a dirty late. Yeah.
That's about it. So they don't even have LeBron James right now. He's in LA. So I would hope that he comes here. He likes the city. He likes the team. He likes Matt Rule. We don't like Matt Rule, but maybe he does. And then he signs an extension. He says, okay, I'm going to give it another 3 seasons here. And then we're able to really try and build on any success that we have next season. If he leaves next season, then that knocks us back a peg. Unless you really think Matt Corral is going to be like that guy.
You know what I wonder, man? I wonder what the why is. Here's what I mean by that. I wonder what made the Carolina Panthers throughout this whole process, because it has been a process since the end of last season, basically. Why Baker Mayfield? Why were the Panthers just so hell-bent on Baker Mayfield? Not anybody else, not a draft pick, but Baker Mayfield. And I just wonder, did Scott Fitterer or whoever, or Tepper or whoever, did they think to themselves, okay, Baker Mayfield, he's in this culture in Cleveland, doesn't feel like he really wants to be there. And then the whole Deshaun Watson saga happens. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Maybe Fitterer thought, okay, he did this there, but if he comes here, we can get more out of him. We see something that other teams don't. And I'm just wondering, did they think that way?
I think it just comes to David Tepper. Since he's taken over as the owner of the Carolina Panthers, he's wanted to make a splash. He's wanted to make that big move. He was willing to risk it all for Deshaun Watson. And I don't think necessarily because Deshaun Watson's a great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but it was that's a huge move for that'd be probably the biggest move the Carolina Panthers would have ever pulled off, signing someone of the caliber of Deshaun Watson. And it was Pepper's way to say, look, hey, it's a new sheriff in town. We're going to do things differently than we did in
the old regime.
Right, because I'm here. And to be fair, Baker Mayfield, that's big for the Carolina Panthers. It wouldn't be that big for the Miami Dolphins, but for the Panthers,
or the Denver Broncos, who got Russell Wilson, hint, hint, wink, wink.
But we tried for Russell Wilson. I don't think he wanted to come here for some reason. Probably because he looked at that offensive line and was like, hell no, I went through that in Seattle for 8 years. So I think that Tepper just wanted to make a splash. He's wanted to make that splash since he's taken over the team, and now he's made it. And we'll see where it takes us. Real quick, I want to answer this question. Who makes playoffs first? Charlotte Football Club, Hornets, or Panthers?
I got Charlotte FC, man.
Charlotte FC is one spot out of the playoffs right now.
I got Charlotte FC going before.
I'm going to say Charlotte FC as well.
Who, by the way, got their first road win
Yeah.
a couple of days ago. So shout out to Charlotte.
Yeah, despite that, like I said, they're only one spot out of the last playoff seed. Boy, wouldn't that be a kick in the face?
What a God, that's sad. That's sad. It's like, good Lord, man.
I think so here's what I think. I think Charlotte FC, and then because the NFL playoffs will start before the NBA playoffs, I actually think all three teams will make the playoffs next season. That's
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the Panthers will sneak into that last spot. If we were doing the old 6 seeds, no, but I think we might be able to slide into that 7th seed, and I think the Hornets will make. I don't expect the East to be like it was this past season. You're not going to have 10 teams with winning records in the East this year. I think that was an anomaly. Because that had never happened in the history of the NBA before, where you had 10 teams in the Eastern Conference all make winning records, and you can only pick 8 of them. 2 of them have to sit out. I don't see that happening again with the Hornets. I think the Hornets record will be. We'll talk about this more as we get close to the Hornets season, but it will be a slight improvement over what was last season, and they'll probably make the 7th, 8th seed. So I'm being optimistic here. I don't want to be negative. I know we're Charlotte sports fans. We thrive on misery.
We are programmed to be sad.
Yeah.
I'll go. I guess I'll go ahead and answer that question, man. Real quickly. I know you got another question you want to answer, man. But for the last question, I'm a lot less optimistic about the Hornets than Kaz is. I think Miles Bridges is a huge loss. At the same time, I don't think the East is going to be as strong as it was last year. So we'll see, man. With that being said, I do actually have the Panthers sneaking into the playoffs last season because of same reasons Kaz did, and I got Charlotte FC sneaking into the playoffs as well. So I just want to answer that question real quick.
If the Panthers don't make the playoffs, is it Matt Rule's fault? And will he get another season? Does he deserve another season if we don't make it?
You know what? What fair is something you see with pigs and Ferris wheels. It don't matter whether it's fair or his fault or not, bro. I think if they don't make the playoffs, that might be the death knell. Either way.
I think Tepper's going to say, hey, look, man, I went and got you Baker Mayfield.
And he's gonna use that like it's supposed to.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Hey man, I got you Baker Mayfield. You couldn't make the playoffs. Get out of here. Let's do like the Hornets did. Let's bring Ron Rivera back.
Don't say that. You know what? Let's move on. We'll talk about that. I don't want to get into that right now. Then we have some more questions we wanted to answer, man.
Swagner, our boy Swagner. Does this mean Matt Corral pick is looking like it will turn into Wilger 2.0? Kind of a wasted pick. I don't think there's ever such a thing as wasting a pick on a quarterback if you don't have stability at quarterback.
Yeah.
So he might end up being the next Will Grier, but because of the instability of the quarterback situation in Carolina, you got to draft a quarterback that you think could possibly move into the spot.
I'll answer this, Swagner. I'll answer you this way. Up until today, I thought there could be a real possibility that Matt Corral could be the starter for the Panthers going into next season. I never really said that on the podcast, but just kind of judging off what I've seen and what I've been hearing in training camp. I actually kind of thought that was a real possibility, man. But to answer your question, we'll see. I think it's probably too early in the process to answer that. Oh man, look at who we got. Who's this guy?
This is what brings Rodney out, y'all. Baker Mayfield
brings Rodney back. Yeah. What's up, man?
Chilling, man. Chilling. Like a villain. What's going on?
Did you got your Baker Mayfield jersey on back order yet, or what are we doing?
If the past 3 years are indication, what am I buying the jersey for to not be able to use it the following year?
I mean, you can still wear your Teddy Bridgewater jersey. It's cool. I mean,
we'll pick at you, but you can still wear it.
You just black my name down on the back.
No, but I mean, I don't think it's a bad move, like a truly bad move. You'll be paying him roughly under $5 million next year, and you're able to just kind of evaluate him fully on if you're going to extend him or not. And quite frankly, like 2 years ago, they played in an AFC Championship game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And he had a pretty good performance. And last year he was injured. Just some of my concerns maybe is he reminds me of one of those NBA players that, like a J.R. Smith, like thinks he's better than he is sometimes. And so that's one thing I do worry about.
Like pretty much everyone on the Hornets.
We call that irrational confidence.
Irrational confidence, yeah. And I don't see nothing wrong with a 1-year flyer on him. If everything kind of fails, you're basically gonna have a new coach with a top 10 pick and a new quarterback. I mean, that's just the way it is.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's more positives than negatives for this, mainly because the Panthers we didn't have to give up nothing. I mean, how often do you see a team in the Carolina, Charlotte, whatever, even the Hurricanes, not having to give up the farm for even a decent player?
Yeah, right.
It's rare that happens.
Yeah. We need to give up.
I thought for sure when I heard we had got Baker Mayfield, I'm thinking, okay, Christian
third or fourth rounder.
Yeah, third rounder, probably one of our young guys. This is stupid. And then there's like a conditional 5th round pick. Oh, what?
Yeah, not that bad, right?
That's what you were worth to the Cleveland Browns? So that begs this question. If Baker Mayfield was that good, then why would you just give him away?
Then he should still be in Cleveland? Is that what you're saying?
Why leap to Deshaun Watson? And it's looking now like Deshaun Watson may not play a game in the NFL this season. Why would you just give him away?
I'm gonna say this: Deshaun Watson, when healthy, when he last played, was an infinite better. And Baker, to me, with the right system, right pieces, run the game around him, he's an adequate quarterback. He could make some throws, but Deshaun would be that quarterback you need to get you to the next level. Mm-hmm. Cleveland wanted to get to that next level, and I'm gonna say this: we need to get to that next level too, because past 2 years that quarterback play hasn't been good, and so I think with better offensive line play and a fingers crossed healthy CMC, we should don't do that. We should be to a 8-9 win level.
If Gordon Hayward's healthy, the Hornets play to make the playoffs, right?
If he's on this roster, if it was up to me.
Oh boy. So, I'll tell you what, hey, listen, man. The irony of all this is week 1, you'll see Baker Mayfield probably against Jacoby Brissett. That's the irony in all this.
Hey, all right. Way too early predictions for that game. Jamal.
I'm going to go 30-24 Panthers first game.
Rodney?
Jacoby plays for the Browns. We played the Browns the first game of the year. Don't get back. I'm going to say 20-24 Cleveland. They run for 200 yards because we still haven't figured out how to stop.
Because we still haven't figured out how to stop the run. That's a really good point.
I think I'm going to say 21-17 Carolina. And not because we stopped the run, but because we focus on the run just enough to where Cleveland doesn't have that many scoring opportunities. And we eke out a very, very, very close win. Because Cleveland, if Deshaun Watson's not playing, and he probably won't be, they're not going to want to throw a lot against the Carolina secondary, especially if Horn's back and he's healthy. They're not going to want Jacoby Brissett to be chucking downfield when you got those guys in the back. They're going to run Nick Chubb a lot because they know Panthers can't stop the run. And the Panthers,
that's what I'm scared of.
They're going to stack the box. They're going to go 8 in the box, and they're going to say, okay, well, we got to get past these guys first, and you guys are going to have to throw the ball, and that will be the story of the game. And Baker Mayfield will do something ridiculous. He's going to score a touchdown and do something anti-Cleveland. People are going to talk about.
And I'm like, look, that could either be a really good thing or a really bad thing.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, you know he's going to do it. He's going to find some Browns fans in the stands and like throw the football at him.
I think he's gonna pull a TO and go to the middle of the field, spike the ball, look at the Browns bench, something like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be a crazy week one.
But you know what? Joshua brings up a good point, man. We got the rookie going up against Myles Garrett, week one. Woo, boy. Welcome to the NFL.
Okay. So this is where we're going to have to see how good of a coach Matt Rhule is. Because obviously, nobody on the Panthers offensive line can go one-on-one with Myles Garrett. No, that's just not going to happen.
That's not going to happen, bro.
Yeah, you're just going to get beat every play. So you're going to have to scheme around one guy on the other side of the ball. And we have not seen Matt Rhule effectively do that. We haven't seen coordinators do that.
Kaza, did we even have anybody to scheme with? There's no scheme when everybody's
strength in numbers, though. That's the thing. I'll give a perfect example here, and I hate to use these guys as an example, but the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, Seattle Seahawks, obviously one of the best defense in the league over the last 10 years, but they actually had one of the worst offensive lines in football. It was like Carolina and Seattle had the two worst offensive lines. But you look at the amount of duress Cam Newton was under, and you look at the amount of duress that Russell Wilson was under, and you look at the plays that Russell Wilson was able to do with a busted-up offensive line, and then you look at how the Panthers left Cam Newton out to dry in the Super Bowl. Compare that to what they did, what Seattle did in the Super Bowl in order to protect Russell Wilson because they knew that they were going to have to keep him upright to win. So you can scheme around a poor offensive line, especially if in the case of Myles Garrett, I mean, that's the biggest threat that Cleveland has to getting to the quarterback. You've got to game plan around that. If they don't, if they do what Ron Rivera and that one guy who I don't even remember his name because I hated him so much, the former offensive coordinator for the Panthers. If you say, hey, we're just going to leave what was his name?
Shula.
No, not Shula. What was our right tackle who got eviscerated by Von Miller in the Super Bowl?
Was it Rimmers?
Mike Rimmers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember the great game plan to leave Mike Rimmers on an island against the best pass rusher in the league?
Not even chip block.
Yeah. Matt Rhule can't do that week one. He's got to do something.
So, guys, I got a question for you. So let me ask you a question. Baker Mayfield is the blank best quarterback in the NFC South.
Third.
Name the four in order.
Well, Tom Brady.
Brady, number one. Jameis, two. And whoever the hell the Falcons tried out there.
Baker and then I don't know who quarterback for the Falcons now. Danny, you still on?
Danny, you quarterbacking? You quarterbacking?
Honestly, I would put Baker number two.
Okay, so it's close between Jameis and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, if you think about it, they're the same type of player. If you really think about it, they're very similar, except for the fact Jameis can't move like Baker. Say it again.
Jameis has a better arm.
Yes,
and he's more adept to taking risks. But
Baker takes a lot of risks too, though.
No, but I don't.
Baker both those guys will give the ball to the other team.
Right.
They'll do it.
Right.
I think that Jameis has an experience advantage, which means a lot as an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt.
Playing with the Saints, I mean, come on. I think any one of us or anybody in the chat could go be the quarterback for the damn Saints. with their offensive system, the legacy of their offensive system.
I mean, do we really know what they look like without Sean Payton?
Yeah, that was a good question because you got to remember Sean Payton's no longer there anymore. So what does
I can't imagine. I can't imagine the new coaching staff would deviate so much from something that has worked for so long. I mean, the Sean Payton system has made New Orleans relevant, for the last 20 years or so. I would imagine, you're not going to be able to get the same level of coaching and management decisions and logistic decisions that Sean Payton would make. Their new coaching staff is going to have to deal with those growing pains. But I think from a system perspective, I think Jameis would benefit. He's going to benefit from that more than Sam Darnold is going to benefit from whatever system Matt Rule implements.
I agree. Well,
because we don't even know what system is that. Run Christian McCaffrey until he dies. That's the Panthers system.
I listen. To speak more of that, man, the Panthers have got to go into next season to kind of try to rectify that part first. We're all going to be very excited. Chris McCaffrey is going to be healthy for the 3 or 4 games that he's going to be healthy or whatever it's going to be. So with that being said, man, I think it is so important that we find balance in that offensive system, whatever that offensive system is going to be. Now, I said it ad nauseum, Chris McCaffrey should make Baker Mayfield's job a lot easier, but at the same time, I don't want him having 50 damn touches a game to try to make his job a lot easier. We got to trust Baker Mayfield to throw the ball down the field, just like we got to.
Hey, man, don't we have Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore?
Speaking of Robbie Anderson.
Terrence Marshall Jr.
Yeah. How about they get open? Then we don't have to
throw the ball down the field to those guys.
Yeah. How about
I was looking at some video, and there were a lot of plays where DJ and especially Robbie was open, but that quarterback position couldn't drive that ball to where they needed to be.
Well,
and I completely understand the frustration that Robbie had last year because essentially you're playing with his money, but not getting those touches. So I fully expect Baker to be more accurate than Sam and more composed, more so. And Christian McCaffrey is an interesting safety valve when he's healthy. Like Jamal alluded to, we don't know if he's going to be healthy for 8 games, 4 games,
2.
It's the first game.
Even if he's healthy the whole season, the Panthers can't use him as the safety valve all the time.
Yeah.
You can't. You've got to have some. Use him as a decoy. He will just him being on the field will keep the defense honest. I think Joe Brady didn't. Maybe he understood that, but I understand it's hard when you have somebody as good as McCaffrey to just not use him.
But here's my question. Here's what we haven't touched on yet, man. It doesn't seem like Robbie Anderson is too excited about Baker Mayfield coming to Carolina, and I'm basing that off of tweets and his little shady remarks on Twitter and his Instagram posts and all that stuff. I don't know how big of a factor that's going to play in the next season, man. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm the coach, I'm like, you got to be professional, show up, whoever the quarterback is. But I just wonder how much of that is going to really affect their relationship next season.
I don't know, man.
Well,
Robbie's interesting. He's from Florida, so I can't.
Very.
I mean, the offensive line. I think everyone who saw the Carolina Panthers play a game last season can agree. With better offensive line play, the team is better. I mean, that goes for any team in professional football. Your offensive line is better, your team is going to be better. But I think a lot of the reason that we weren't able to drive the ball downfield is because we just didn't have time for the quarterback to take his drop, make the reads, and the receivers to make the proper routes. I mean, there were times where, the defense is in the backfield as soon as the ball snapped. You couldn't even take a 3-step drop.
Kaza, how many times did we say on this podcast last season that, like, quarterback is going to be the focal point always? You know what I mean? But how many times did we say on this podcast that the whole offense was dysfunctional from top to bottom?
Oh,
and that obviously didn't make Sam Darnold's job any easier. So hopefully some of that dysfunction is going to be fixed going into next season. If not, Baker Mayfield is going to face the same problem Sam Darnold had.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Plus, you've got two guys coming off injuries. I know that Sam Darnold came off his injury near the end of last season, and Baker Mayfield played injured last season. But you got two guys coming off fairly major injuries. You can't have those guys taking hits, and you can't even have those guys seeing ghosts.
Right.
Which we've seen Sam Darnold do. We've seen him see ghosts. We saw that last season. And I think Baker Mayfield may see ghosts if the offensive line is not playing like they're supposed to play. He doesn't want to get injured again. And like we said, he will throw the ball to the other team. He'll want to make the big play. O-line just got flat out. They just got to be better.
I tell you what I don't want to see next season. The last thing I want to see next season is another QB carousel. I don't want to see Sam Darnold start one week and Baker Mayfield start the other week and PJ Walker coming off the bench in the second half. Whoever the quarterback is going to be, I want that quarterback to be the quarterback for the entire season, man. Last season was such a mess of an offense and a mess of the quarterback situation, man. I just hope that whoever they decide on brings them some continuity at least all of next season.
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to pick your guy and go with him.
Pick your guy, go with him.
Yeah, go with him. And then, barring injury, that's the guy you're going to ride out. I think that's going to be Baker Mayfield, regardless.
Hey, but interesting question. Is Sam Darnold Matt Rule's guy? Like, is that his son on the team?
No.
You know what I mean?
PJ Walker is Matt Rule's guy.
Yeah, that's Matt Rule's guy.
Very interesting what happens to him before the season starts in the preseason. If they decide to keep – well, they're not going to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster.
Yeah.
Why would you? They're not.
They should be. Right.
So – who's going to go? I don't think it's going to be the guy you just drafted. That may spell the end of PJ Walker as a Carolina Panther, at least on the active roster.
Yeah,
you probably go down to the practice squad. But here's actually what I wonder what may happen. Sam Darnold will probably have a good show during training camp. So now,
right.
So now what? You've got to. Matt Rule's going to have to make a really, really tough decision, and we've seen him not have the ability to make that hard decision. He could not decide last season whether he wanted Cam Newton on the field or Sam Darnold on the field when he had both of those guys available, and we saw that indecisiveness directly lead to a loss when he did not run Cam Newton on a goal line play, a guy who has a 98% success rate in that situation. And then you come out in the press conference and say, well, Sam Darnold can do the same thing. That indecisiveness.
And then you try it with Sam Darnold, and it doesn't even go right.
Yeah, exactly. That indecisiveness is going to rear its ugly head during training camp in the preseason, I think. Because I think Sam Darnold is going to come out. He's going to have a decent preseason. Or training camp. Because it's training camp. I mean, Chris McCaffrey's going to be healthy during training camp, right? So, yeah, are we 1,000% sure Baker will beat out Sam? I mean, like I said, it's going to be a very competitive training camp, and Matt Rule is going to cry himself to sleep, wishing he had stayed in college, because in college this is a much easier decision to make.
Well, he may be back soon enough, man. Time will tell. So I wasn't supposed to say that out loud.
No. 7 years, because that's how long it took Jay-Z.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's the rock.
Gave you property on the first joint. You're all laid down. Didn't really appreciate it till the second one came out. Stretch the game out. Etch your name out. Put rules
out. It's a hard knock life, man.
Oh, Matt Rule, we're gonna miss him. I'll say this: we've had some bad coaches in the pantheon of the Carolina Panthers.
George Seifert.
Yeah, but it wasn't fun to make fun of George Seifert because he was a coaching legend before he came to Carolina and ruined his record, his win loss.
Just got old.
Right.
He probably just got old and just couldn't relate to the players.
Yeah, I think the game passed him by. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
and the players hated him too. Like I've actually heard players tell me how much they didn't like playing for George Seifert.
No, yeah. So it wasn't fun to make fun of Ron Rivera because he was a 2-time coach of the year. And it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun to make fun of John Fox. Like the only thing we could say about John Fox was it is what it is. But you know what? I actually like that about John Fox because I say it all the time because it's true. Hey, it is what it is. So it wasn't fun to make fun of any of those guys. But Matt Rule, boy.
But Matt Rule gives you content. He gives you stuff to make content.
He makes this interesting. Keeping up with them interesting. It's. I'm not gonna say that. Let me shut up.
No, go ahead, say it, man.
Hey, man, it's just us.
Yeah, we just chilling.
It was kind of like the last president, where you just like, what's happening next? Like you like, oh, what's about to happen?
No, hey,
but like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Some days I forget we have a president because nothing eventful happens, and so like, yeah. I kind of miss that content a little bit, but not. I'm just stopping.
No, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
News cycle. Yeah, we haven't had that in a Panthers coach. It may be in ever. So
yeah, the one thing you say about Matt Rule, he never keeps it boring. It's never boring with Matt Rule. Like every week, it's like something. Yeah.
He always has that look on his face too, like
I didn't do it. Like my fault. What? What are y'all playing?
What are you doing? Like, what am I doing here? Am I coaching an NFL game?
DBO, bro. DBO.
Don't beat ourselves.
DBO, man.
Boy,
it's gonna be interesting to see like when the Panthers lose their first game, like who's he gonna throw under the bus? Like is he gonna throw Baker Mayfield
somebody getting thrown under the Charlotte Metro.
It's gonna be bodies full of just under the bus.
Y'all know the old bus station downtown. They just gonna have to. That's gonna be the Matt Rule dead body storage area. Somebody in the city of Charlotte knows what to do with the bus station. They're just gonna use it for whoever Matt Rule throws under the bus.
The Matt Rule graveyard is can you find the last offensive coordinator there?
Yeah. Last defensive coordinator. Last just bodies, man.
I heard James Borrego was on. Never mind. Anybody else got any questions?
Oh boy, yeah. I think that's gonna do it for. Yeah, thank y'all for joining us for this kind of impromptu.
Yeah, man, random on a
weekly thing. We were just like, oh, we gotta hop on. We couldn't wait till Sunday to talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm sure some other shit will happen between now and Sunday.
I swear to God, the last 3 shows we've all said, man, the Hornets are gonna give us something to talk about. Look, Sunday, we're probably aiming to take Sunday off, but I predict by the time Sunday comes around, the Charlotte Hornets will give us something else to talk about. I will bet on it. I will bet on it, y'all.
Hey, this is somebody said Mitch just woke up from his nap. So
yep. That's right. He took his meds for the day. He's ready. He's ready to.
He went for his power walk around Concord.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, realistically, they've got to do something about Miles Bridges' situation. They just can't just sit there and let it fester.
Hey, go ahead, Rodney.
I'm gonna say this. You need to like in their instance, they need to do their due diligence. They need to wait to see what happens. I know he has a court day coming up.
Yeah, I will say that.
They need to see if that girl's gonna file charges. I think she should, but sometimes they don't. That's just me talking, me spitballing.
I think if he ends up dropping the charges or taking a settlement, I think the Charlotte Hornets will retain Miles Bridges, and everyone will be mad, and then forget about it next year.
Rodney, what would you say?
Me personally, I can't forget about stuff like that.
No, I wouldn't either.
But what I think will happen is he will get some type of suspension probably,
A
and
lengthy one.
the Hornets he'll play under the qualifying offer, and then and then essentially they'll make a hard line. Look, you got to change your circle. You need counseling, and you need to do these things in order for us to secure a future. Because what would absolutely be devastating is if you cut ties with him, the girl doesn't press charges, he found not guilty, whatever, and you lose him for nothing, essentially. Like, I wish at this point, I kind of wish the commissioner would come out and say, "Hey, we're going to put you on the exemption list. The Hornets could like just sit you for a while until it's on out, and even if we could just trade him for something, a second round pick or something, I'd rather get something for him than just to cut ties like fully. Like I understand the outrage to cut ties. I perfectly do.
It's just going to be hard to get something for him because no team really wants to deal with that situation.
However, Kaza, I got to be honest, man. I always feel like there's some really, really downtrodden franchise, even worse than us, that'll say, you know what, man,
the Knicks can take Miles Bridges in a second.
You mean to tell me the Sacramento Kings wouldn't take Miles Bridges in a heartbeat? You mean to tell me the Knicks wouldn't do it?
Look, I'm telling you this now. The Lakers would do it in a heartbeat. It'll be LeBron James's mentorship reclamation project.
Oh my God! Could you imagine those headlines?
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Please don't let that happen.
Oh my God! Please don't let that happen.
Detroit can't take Miles Bridges because now he's closer to his element.
Yep, and then on top of that, Miles is a clutch client. Lakers are basically a clutch team.
Yeah, no doubt.
They will try to fix things for him to work it out. Like, I mean, it's so unfortunate. Like, the signs were there with a lot of stuff, and I really hope that girl is okay. I hope the child is okay. That's my main concern. But
the kids.
At the end of the day, man, that's just unacceptable, Miles. Like, no matter how angry somebody makes you, man or woman, you don't put your hands on people, especially women.
I got a random thought, man, because you brought up Clutch Sports, and Jeannie Buss just sent out this kind of cryptic tweet, and a lot of people are thinking is aimed at LeBron. I hope, Danny, if you're still on, man, please chime in on this because I would love to hear your thoughts on this, man. Are we getting to a point where general managers may be tired of dealing with clutch clients? Maybe our client, but our player, Miles Bridges. I just wonder if that's a thing yet. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it's just clutch clients. I think it's NBA players as a whole.
In general.
The CBA in the NBA is far more progressive towards players than it is in any other league, in any other North American sports league. The CBA is more for the players. And because of that, it allows them to get away with stuff that previously they could not. You don't have this Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant situation 10 years ago. You just don't. Right. And you have players that can exert that kind of pressure on franchises in order to get around rules that are created in order to keep the game balanced, then it creates a lot of heartache. The reason that we have restricted free agency and max deals and salary caps is so that players can't do like Kyrie Irving and say, you know what, I don't want to play for you guys. I'm not going to play, and you got to trade me to one of these three teams. It's not supposed to work like that.
Woods, and when it comes around for the next CBA negotiation, you best believe the owners are going to use Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons. They're going to use that against the players because it's like, why are we paying y'all to not play so much?
I'm gonna let you go.
Go ahead.
You go.
No, but just one more thing. The only other thing I was going to say is you got Adam Silver who came out and publicly said not enough. Too many of our stars are not playing. You think the owners didn't hear that? You know what I mean? So they're going to use all that against these players the next negotiation.
I'm gonna say more so Ben Simmons than Kyrie. Ben Simmons just signed the extension that just kicked in, and I mean it's. I don't. He had a legit. Looks like he had a legit back issue, whatever. He had back surgery and stuff like that. But you're never going to get rid of players' leverage in the NBA. If a player is powerful in the NBA, they're going to use their leverage. Unfortunately, that's just how the NBA is kind of structured, where the players have just as much or equal power to the owner as well. And unfortunately, players look at how you treat other players. If you make it difficult for a player or whatnot in your organization, you get that reputation, and you got to wear that in the league. So it's a double-edged sword.
I don't think that Genie busts though. Here's the thing: it's hard to destroy the LA Lakers. They're LA. No matter what happens, they're always going to be. They're only going to be out of the picture for like this long, and then they're back to being a contending team. Ben Simmons, and this just may be just a circumstance of the James Harden trade, but he really didn't leave Philly in a worse spot than they were. But Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant have ruined the Brooklyn Nets. They're ruined now. They came to Brooklyn with the intent, or it seemed, that we're going to come here and we're going to build a contending team, me, Kevin Durant, and then James Harden, and we're going to build a championship contending team to beat the LeBrons and the Steph Currys. And then things don't quite go their way, so they fire the coach. You know, they just get rid of him. They bring in an inexperienced – I love Steve Nash, but I don't even think that he – like why would you hire him? But clearly they hired him because they felt, okay, he's a former player, and the players will be able to exert some kind of influence over him, unlike Kenny Atkinson. So then they end up not even playing. Now, Kevin Durant did have to deal with injury, but Kyrie Irving he had his own reasons. Then the James Harden thing happens, and the team just falls apart. So now, instead of sticking it out and saying, you know what, okay, we're going to try it. No, they didn't. No, they're like, I'm out of here. So now the Nets are going to have to be forced to make a deal that's probably not going to be favorable to them in order to get rid of these superstars. Maybe not. You're going to be able to get a lot for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, but essentially you're rebuilding the team. You're going to be given just a lot of players who might not want to be there. You're going to have to rework so many deals. You've left that franchise in a far worse place than they were before you even got there. Remember, they were a playoff team before. I mean, they made the playoffs once with Kevin Durant and lost to the Bucks. But before that, they had made a playoff appearance with a far inferior roster. So I think teams are going to look at that. They're going to be like, man, we can't have Kyrie Irving coming and destroying our franchise like he did Brooklyn. I think that's all Jay is saying.
Yeah. All right. I got to get out of here, guys. Any shout outs to anybody?
Shout out to High Speed Chases.
Grand Theft Auto, the Charlotte edition.
Grand Theft Auto, Queen City.
Kyle, did you see the High Speed Chase, man?
Yeah, man. I don't know what we're doing in this city. This is I don't know what we're doing in this country. Actually,
I'm about to say that like everywhere is going up right now. Stay in your house. Stay to yourself. Stay with the people that you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say shout at the United States of America again. I didn't go out. I didn't do anything. I'm not really big on celebrating 4th of July for various reasons. But one of the things actually that we normally do is we'll drive around, we'll put the top down, and we'll just check out all the fireworks around. We'll just drive around Charlotte. We didn't even do that this year because I'm like, first of all, I'm not trying to get shot on 4th of July. I mean, how crazy is it that we have a mass shooting in the 4th of July? What the hell? What the hell? Well, I don't even know what to say. What the hell? And that also sparks a bigger debate. If you're not from the city you you're not from, then don't say you're from there. A lot of people are saying that shooting happened in Chicago. It happened 50 miles away. That was not a Chicago thing, because now people are just going to use this narrative. All they do is shoot each other up in Chicago.
Right.
It didn't happen in Chicago. It didn't happen in
Right.
Chicago. It's like saying when someone's like, that's Chicago metro area. Okay, York is the Charlotte metro area. Is York Charlotte? Is Rock Hill Charlotte? No. Those places are not Charlotte. It's the same thing. Stop saying that. It wasn't Chicago.
I don't have a shout at or a shout out. I just have a closing question. So you can shoot up people at a festival and not get shot in the back 60 times. That's amazing to me. But I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
God bless America.
I'm gonna go listen to this new Matt Rule album. I'll let y'all know if it's hot.
Oh, one more thing. Shout out to the senator from Rhode Island. You have my vote. I will be moving.
I'm in love. I'm in love. What's her name? Do you have her name again?
No, just the. I just the
also, I heard a rumor.
I
heard a rumor that Vince is growing his beard back. So, if that's the case, come back to the show, brother. We miss you.
Yeah, show the beard, man.
Yeah, you got the beard back. It'll be like old times, man.
Thank y'all for joining us, man. This has been a fun pop-up show.
Yes. Y'all take care. We'll see y'all Sunday.
Yeah, probably. Peace, y'all.